Right now at 6, a father killed and his 6-year-old son left clinging to life after authorities say they were hit on their way home from a bus stop.
He took the best brother I've ever had from me.
Plus, a mother who is deaf shares how she survived after her apartment building went up in flames.
I will have died because I'm not able to feel it.
Then, the big changes around security when it comes to middle school students in one of Oregon's biggest districts.
We don't want weapons in our schools.
And later, the AI chip maker that's now making a multi-billion-dollar bet on Intel.
NVIDIA seems everything they touch right now is turning to gold.
They were best friends. Best friends. Like, they were inseparable.
First at 6, an inseparable father and son at the center of tragedy in Vancouver after the pair were hit by a truck while walking home from a bus stop, killing the dad and leaving his 6-year-old critically injured. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. Today, the man authorities say was behind the wheel went before a judge to face some very serious charges. Let's get right to Devin Haskins live outside the Clark County Courthouse. Devin, you also talked with the victim's family. What'd they tell you?
Yeah, David, it's a sad story of a father who family says absolutely loved and adored his son, would do anything for him. That son, a 6-year-old, had just gotten off the school bus when the two of them were walking alongside the road when a truck drove around construction traffic and hit them. I talked with that man's sister earlier today, Natalie Quevedo Sanchez, as she was holding photos of her older brother and his 6-year-old son, Joshua. She called them inseparable and best friends. Joshua attends a nearby elementary school, and he had just finished his 3rd day of 1st grade when a truck hit them both. Northeast 137th Avenue is under construction and has no sidewalks currently. Jose Quevedo Sanchez and Joshua were walking alongside the road when police say 73-year-old James Paulson got agitated with the slow traffic in the construction zone, drove around the traffic and hit Jose with his truck, dragging him, and then hit Joshua. Earlier today, Vancouver police retracted a statement that had said Joshua also died, now saying he's still in the hospital with critical injuries. Jose died at the scene.
He was kind, he was patient, and he was incredibly smart. He was so smart and he was so talented, and he could draw and he could do math on the top of his head. Like, I was so envious of him because in high school he was on the football team, he was an honor roll student. Like, he was everything I wanted to be. Truly. He still is everything I want to be because he was an amazing parent.
Police said Paulson had smoked marijuana from a vape pen earlier in the day and had also taken a sleeping pill the day before that was prescribed to his wife. They did give some blood tests as well to determine what exactly was in his system. He was charged with vehicular homicide, vehicular assault, reckless driving, and DUI, currently being held on $1.5 million bond. David?
Devin Haskins in Vancouver. Devin, appreciate your reporting. To Aloha now, where we're hearing from a mother who escaped an apartment fire with her son with only the clothes on their back. Celine Stevens is live near 201st and Baseline. Celine, should point out the mother was asleep at the time, and it turns out she is also deaf. Walk us through how they got out.
David, yes. So she says she just got lucky. So the night of that fire, she actually fell asleep on the couch, and now she is deaf, so that means she couldn't hear the fire alarm. She said it was around 3 a.m. when she smelled smoke, and when she opened her eyes, that's when she saw the fire.
Okay, I saw one there really fast from the right side of my wall.
Around 3 a.m. on Wednesday, Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue responded to multiple reports of a fast-moving fire at this apartment complex in Aloha. Heather Fenner was asleep on the couch in her apartment when she woke up to the smell of smoke.
I'm lucky about that because if I don't wake up, I will have died because I'm not able to feel it.
Fenner is deaf. Her 12-year-old son was in the apartment with her, as well as their dog and 2 cats.
I wake up my son out from his room and the dog, and looked. I tried to go back inside, but I had a hard time because everything falling apart on me, smoke.
Her dad, Steve Schneider, who lives in a nearby apartment complex, says he smelled smoke in the air before he found out her building was on fire.
I got a text from her. She was outside, her apartment was on fire, and her cat was still inside, and to come quick. And I came out there, saw the flames gushing out of her apartment building.
Schneider expressing his worry.
At the time, I was frightened because I know that Heather couldn't hear the fire alarm.
Luckily, Fenner and her son are okay.
I found out later that a neighbor helped assist her in getting out of her apartment, and I'm thankful for him for doing that.
Although her dog and one of her cats managed to be saved, the whereabouts of the other cat is still unknown.
I have to save my son first. He comes first. I can't save my cat.
Fenner and her son, a part of the 17 people displaced by the fire. She now has a GoFundMe to help her raise money to get back on her feet, as she's now forced to stay in a hotel, struggling for clothes, food, and everything else she once had.
It makes me feel my life is different now than before. Life is harder now than before.
Now, nobody died in the fire. Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue says although the investigation is still underway, right now evidence is pointing to the cause being improperly discarded smoking materials. David?
So many people impacted, just glad they made it out. Thanks, Celine. In your headlines this evening, authorities have arrested and charged a man with second-degree murder after a shooting early this morning in southeast Portland. Police say they found a man dead in the parking lot of Buddy's Lounge just after 2. That's near Southeast 82nd and Harrison. They've now identified the suspect as 37-year-old Brandon Lewis. Another man was injured and taken to the hospital. A 72-year-old man from Salem is dead after what police in Idaho call a road rage shooting. This was just after 9 Monday morning off I-84 in Payette County. Investigators say Charles Avery confronted another driver after both vehicles pulled off the interstate. They say Avery damaged the truck and opened the driver's door, prompting the 71-year-old man inside to shoot Avery, telling police he feared for his life. A neighbor who lives just a few hundred yards away says his security cameras caught part of that altercation.
The truck was in front, just driving along. I'm guessing probably 45 or so. Speed limit's 50. And then that car just passed him, just zoom, and then pulled right in front of him and hit the brakes. I mean, you can see in the video, the whole nose dives down and he just stops, and the truck is this far from him. So he swerved to the left, went off the road a little bit, fortunately, and then corrected and got back onto the road.
So far, no charges have been filed. A firefighter battling the immigrant fire in Lane County is now recovering in the hospital after being hit by a falling tree. Chris Stash suffered significant injuries on September 8th and was airlifted to the hospital. There's now a GoFundMe to help Stash through his recovery. So far, the immigrant fire has burned more than 32,000 acres. It is now 41% contained. Matt?
All right, David, thank you. We are seeing the effects of the Bear Gulch fire up in the Olympic Mountains of Washington, making our sky hazy today. You might have even smelled the wildfire smoke, but it did not impact our temperatures. We're down to 76 right now. Got a bit warmer than that. Here's the fire on the east side of the Olympics and just riding a direct path down over the Willamette Valley and then offshore. So really, it was the Portland area south and then southwest Washington feeling the effects of this haze that we had in the sky all day long today. And I think we're probably going to have it again tomorrow and even on Saturday before it clears out on Sunday and the lower level winds begin to change direction. We had the low clouds this morning too, banking up against the foothills of the Cascades. Those burned off and left us with a beautiful day in spite of that wildfire smoke haze that we're showing you right there. So again, it's been a good day. Now here's the fire and here's the smoke model, and we begin to see it edge out, but this only goes through Saturday. I think it'll be Saturday night and Sunday when we get a surge of south and southwesterly winds that'll push that smoke on off to the north and east and clear the air here in Oregon. So hazy sunshine continues for the next couple of days. Sunday morning we get showers, but the timing is perfect. It'll be after most folks go to bed on Saturday night, and it'll end before a lot of folks get up and on their second cup of coffee by Sunday morning. And then we got the beginning to follow to talk about on Monday. David?
Yeah, I love the perfect timing, especially on a weekend. Thanks, Matt.
Firearm-related incidents are increasing. across the whole city. They're increasing across age groups. And this isn't something that is catching us off guard, not as a city and not as a school district.
New at 6, that was Salem-Keizer superintendent early last year before the district decided to install metal detectors across all of its high schools. Well, now that tech is expanding to middle schools, the district says, to protect its younger students. Jake Holter with that update.
So the detectors going into place will be identical to the ones installed at Salem-Keizer high schools last year, as school officials cite a troubling trend.
Our first job is to keep your children safe.
And that's why Salem-Keizer School District is implementing weapons detectors in middle schools. District Safety Director Chris Baldridge says it stems from what he calls disturbing data out of Marion County.
We've seen a decline in age in charges where it's possession of a weapon, which is really kind of a driving factor for us. So we don't want weapons in our schools.
The detection system checks everyone who enters the schools as they walk through screening lanes. Staff then check a backpack, for example, if a quiet alert goes off.
I want to make that impact at the doorway be as quick as possible and something that you don't think about for the rest of the day.
There's also a door monitoring system that controls entries and exits and alerts safety staff when a door is opened or closed, as well as window film that prevents people from seeing into the building. But one middle school parent we spoke to feels this is overkill.
As we get more and more comfortable with treating civilians like they're criminals, with utilizing equipment like that in standard schools, is numbing our children.
Navarro says he'd like to have seen a different approach.
I feel like those resources could have been better utilized, expanding access to mental health services to the youth, supportive services to the youth, to be able to help them kind of cope with the underlying conditions of why they're utilizing these things to begin with.
The weapon screening systems will cost about $1.2 million, funded by a previous bond and settlement agreement. Deputy Superintendent Danielle Neves says she also has a Salem-Keizer middle schooler and is on board with the detectors.
It gives me another layer, just like the other layers of safety that happen in the schools, another layer of knowing that the school district is taking care of my students, of the teachers in their building, so that they can focus on learning.
And school officials say they anticipate the installation of these weapons detectors to begin at the end of October, with all middle schools complete in April. In Keizer, Jake Holter, KGW News.